Hello everybody. Technology just it always just wants to cooperate with me. Oh wait, my face is not here. Give me a sec. Okay, there we go. My bad, everybody. But hello. Yeah, it works now. I don't know what happened. It just kept buffering. I was like, start stream, and then it wouldn't let me go live. It was just buffering, and I'm like, okay. So, yeah, had to reboot the computer. Thankfully, it worked. So, yeah, how are you guys doing? Hopefully, everybody's having a good Monday so far, or had a good weekend. Yesterday was pretty nice. Pretty good weather for me. Kind of went to a friend's house for the pool just for a bit. I didn't really go swimming though, but weather was nice overall. Also, I am looking forward to this week because the weather is finally dropping down, because we've been getting nonstop like 30 degrees every day, and I'm like, I kind of want it to cool down for a bit. So it's cooling down, so that's nice. But how are you guys all doing? Hope you guys are all good. I'm new to this channel. What's all the fun about? Oh, well, yeah, we're kind of an art channel here, and well, welcome to our live stream. MD Manzuru Hakai. Sorry if I butchered your name, probably did. But yeah, we're a YouTube art channel here where we try to teach you guys the fundamentals of art while also demonstrating the fundamentals. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun one. The community is great, and hopefully you also check out maybe the rest of our YouTube channel as well, if this live stream tickles your fancy, so to speak. We had 6 degrees today. Oh wow, that's like Celsius. Oh, are you on like the other half of the hemisphere? That's pretty cool. Or the other half of the equator, I guess. I am armed and ready, got a pen and paper and a bunch of painkillers. Currently sick. Oh no, well, I hope you get well, Angela. Angela is the best. Yeah, hopefully you feel better and good. Yeah, feeling sick and then but also still wanting to draw. It's like the worst combinations, because it's like your brain or your heart is like, I need to draw, but then your brain's like, no, I need to sleep. Yeah. Yeah, I guess we'll jump into it. Hello everybody, and welcome to our Wing Canvas live stream over here on Monday. Hope you all are doing good. My name is Josh, and I'm going to be the host for today. This is the last one for our double feature, back-to-back double feature, because I've been streaming for the past 4 live streams, because I am away, well, busy next week. So on Saturday next week, I have like a softball tournament. And then on Monday, I'm just taking a short weekend getaway trip. So, yeah, it's so that's why I've been streaming 4 times in a row. So then the next few weeks, it's going to be like new people. You're going to actually get to meet some of our new instructors, some new team members that have joined us recently. They're going to start streaming a little bit more. Yeah, you'll get to see a little bit more of our new kind of newly assembled team. So yeah, it's going to be great. If this is your first time joining our stream, welcome. And yeah, if this is your first time hearing about us, we are Wing Canvas. And basically, we do and demonstrate kind of art fundamentals and tutorials for you guys on live stream, because we believe that art education should be accessible to everyone. And today, we're going to be doing 2-point perspective. So that's what I'm going to be showing you guys how to get a 2-point perspective started, and then demonstrate it by drawing an apothecary. Now we're just simply going to draw this one, not going to paint it. So I don't know, maybe if I decide to paint it one day, maybe I'll do it live on Discord, but we'll see. Time is always so tight these days. But before we get into the topic of the stream, we always love giving a little bit of shout out to our members and our kind of community. So if you didn't know, every month we have a monthly art challenge, and this month's art challenge is Epic Environments, which kind of you can probably see makes sense as to why all of our stream topics have been background related, so that this way, while we're teaching you guys how to draw environments, you guys get a chance to use that new knowledge and apply it to your pieces, so that you can submit it to into your art challenge, or our art challenge. And if you didn't know or don't know how to submit it, you can find the art challenge channel over on our Discord, where you can upload your pieces, your drawings, and just share it with the community. And on every live stream, we try to do our best to show that love and share what the community has been doing with your participation in these art challenges. So yeah, so the first one up is by Kelzoon. Kelzoon, I know you're here. I feel like I've seen your name pop up in the chat bit by bit, so I'm pretty sure you're here. But yeah, here is a piece by Kelzoon, and oh, hey, look, it's Jesus. Wow, Jesus, I don't know if this is your first time joining our stream, but if you guys didn't know, I'm pretty sure Jesus is our editor for our videos. So yeah, everybody say hi, Jesus. Wow, glad you're able to make it. In the flesh, yeah. But going back to Kelzoon's piece, yeah, this is really awesome. I love this piece. The colors on this is really nice too. Just like the saturated greens with the pinks or the magentas. Wait, was this done for Saturday's topic, where it was like, okay, do a green and magenta kind of piece? Because this is a nice take on it. I like how I did a more horror, more kind of eerie piece, and then you went with a more peaceful and kind of natural nature piece. So yeah, this is a really cool, the cool way that you rendered this one. So I always love giving a little shout out to traditional pieces, and I think you did an awesome job with this one. And the next one here we have, let me see, next one is by, we only have two for today, but this one is by Max. And again, as always, we have a lot of submissions over in the art challenge channel, so if you want to check out all the submissions, feel free to. We are unable to showcase everybody's pieces, but not only that, sometimes people show more of their kind of process. Sometimes they add a lot of images and also a little bit of an explanation on what they did to get the final image. So if you want to see Max's I guess process, because this piece is actually done with the help of Blender, so I think if you guys want to check that out, see how Max came up with the background for these like blocks in the buildings, I definitely recommend checking the piece out in the Discord channel. So yeah, thank you, Max, for submitting. And that's going to be it for today. We're just going to have two pieces. So again, if you want to participate in the monthly art challenge, which is totally free, by the way, all you have to do is join the Discord channel and find the art challenge channel over on Discord. You can submit any piece that you want, as long as it's appropriate and as long as it's kind of a theme to the background. You might get a chance to be picked for our live stream. So it's all random. It's all like, it's not 100% guaranteed that everybody's piece will be showcased on live stream, but either way, it's always a nice place to also just share what you guys are working on. And I did see someone did a study or a paint along of my green eerie phone booth from Saturday. So I saw someone did it. I forgot who it was, but I saw it there. And yeah, so that was really cool. So if you guys end up following along with me on the live stream, feel free to share that piece that you did in the art challenge. So yeah. So thank you everybody for submitting to the art challenge section. It's always great seeing what you guys are making, and just yeah, being able to give that love back to the community is also always great. And going back to the topic of what we're streaming for today, as you guys know, we're doing 2-point perspective, and I'm gonna shortly or very shortly demonstrate how to do 2-point perspective and how to get it started. But if you guys didn't know, and maybe this is a good incentive to subscribe to the channel, on our community post, we always post a poll either a day or 2 days before the live stream goes up. And we basically ask you guys, hey, based on the topic of what we're streaming, what would you guys like for us to draw specifically? And so we give you guys a little bit of options to pick from. And surprise to no one, I guess, apothecary is the one that won out. But so yeah, that's the one that I'm going to be drawing for today. Although Science Lab, honestly, I had a little bit of a finger cross where I was like, maybe Lab 1, but I feel like you can't go wrong with apothecary. So that's what we're going to be doing. So if you want to participate in the polls, if you want to have a little bit of a contribution as to what we draw specifically for our live streams, definitely keep an eye out for our community post. And yeah, so now into the actual topic of today. If you guys don't know what an apothecary is, it is essentially kind of like it's like a medicinal room. Let me see what the official definition is. Let me not try to just wing it off the top of my head. Apothecary. Let's see. Definition is a medical professional who mixes herbs and chemicals to make and sell medicine. Is that the official definition? I don't know. That's just what it says on the Gemini. Let's see. One who prepares and sells drugs or compounds for medicinal purposes. So it seems like it's just a medical, at its very core, it's just a medical kind of shop. It's basically a pharmacy, but I feel like it's a more old style, English kind of small boutique, or maybe even in Hispanic groceries, it says. I'm looking at Merriam-Webster, by the way, the website, to see what it says. But I feel like most people, when they think of apothecaries, they think more old-fashioned, they think more old-timey, medieval kind of time period and setting. So we're going to be doing something along the lines of this. Now, how much I'm going to be able to add, because I do feel apothecaries tend to be quite cluttered. They tend to be quite a lot of things there. But because our stream is only 2 hours long, we'll see how much I can add into it. Good thing we're not coloring or rendering anything today. It's just all gonna be flat colors. Or not flat colors. It's all gonna be line work. So it'll be kind of fun. We'll do a black and white drawing here. So yeah. Okay, so time to get into what is 2-point perspective. And also, hello everybody who's joining us just now. Hope you guys are all doing good. I know Little Rover Cat, I see you've joined us as well. Also, if I didn't get a chance to shout out your name or say hi to you, I apologize for that. But I hope you're all doing good. Fantasy Doctor. I think that's a pretty good way of putting it, actually. Okay, so for perspective, let me see. What is 2-point perspective? Let's get that out of the way. What is 2-point perspective? Well, 2-point perspective is basically just a way to draw an environment with a little bit more complexity to it. So you'll remember that I think last week on Saturday, or I don't know, the last 2 streams ago, I went over 1-point perspective. And 1-point perspective was drawing everything going towards one vanishing point. So the phone booth, for example, the one that I did on Saturday, that was 1-point perspective. 1-point perspective is very, very beginner friendly. So 1-point perspective. This will be a little bit of maybe a refresher. Is beginner friendly. It is very easy to do, easy to try. And so all you need is a horizon line. So this here is what we call the horizon line, or it is also known as the eye level. Oh, also a little bit of a heads up. The yard is being worked on, so I don't know if you guys will be able to hear anything going on in the back every now and then. Hopefully not. Right now it's not too loud, so yeah, but there's a chance that you might hear some work being done in the backyard. So all you need is the horizon line, and then all you need is the vanishing point. So this is the vanishing point. And everything basically goes towards the vanishing points. So I'm just going to draw a square. Let me see. Not filled. I'm just going to put a square here. And then all you have to do is make sure that the lines goes towards the vanishing point over here. So just like straight lines that go right there. And then when you cut it off, you have a three-dimensional cube. And voila, there you go. You have a prism. Very easy, very straightforward, very kind of like easy to do, hopefully. So this is 1-point perspective, and you can do this anywhere. So you can put a cube over here, or like draw a square. And that's all you have to do, by the way, for 1-point perspective. All you have to do is start with a square to figure out where you want to put your prism, and then you just connect the corners to the vanishing point. And that is it. That's all you have to do. And then after that, you just determine how large do you want the cube to be, and you just draw very, very straight, flat lines. So the only ones that need to go to the vanishing point are the sides of the prism over here. And that's it. Everything else, the vertical lines, they're all just flat and straight. So that's 1-point perspective. And 1-point perspective is considered like beginner friendly, is how I would put it. Why is it not working? Oh, that's weird. Okay. I was trying to like select it. Okay. That was weird. Want to give it a little bit of space for 2-point. 2-point takes up a little bit more space. Also, I guess another incentive, if you want to get these notes afterwards, definitely follow us on Discord. This is where I'm going to be posting the notes. The demos, though, will be going up on Instagram afterwards. Oh, MD Manzuru, well, thank you. I'm glad you like my art style. How much experience do I have? Oh, that's a really good question. I mean, I've been teaching, like, I taught before Wing Canvas as well, and so I was actually counting it. I think I've been teaching since 2017, I think. But then, obviously, there was a little bit of a gap in between, like, during COVID for a few years. And then I joined Wing Canvas in, like, 2022, I think. So it's been a few years now that I've been teaching. Drawing experience-wise, I've been seriously drawing more. Like, I seriously took up drawing in high school, I want to say. Like, I've learned how to draw art ever since I was a kid, you know, parents taking you to art school and everything. But I don't think I seriously took the time to learn how to draw until like high school. And then I really took it seriously until I think like after university, actually, which is kind of funny. But yeah, I didn't take drawing actually properly seriously until after university, and then during COVID again. So like during COVID time, around like when I took 3D animation class, that's when I like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna take like technicals properly, like taking how to draw technical skills, taking it more seriously. Yeah, so 2-point perspective, let's write this here. 2-point perspective. So 2-point perspective is actually very similar to 1-point, but as the name implies, instead of one vanishing point, you have 2 vanishing points. So same thing though, we start with a horizon line. So I'm gonna say start with horizon line. And if you don't know where to start, you can always just put the horizon line right in the middle. It's a safe place to put your eye level. I'm gonna put it maybe a little bit lower, but somewhere near the middle. No matter, like no less, maybe somewhere around here. So I'm gonna mark it still. So this is the HL / eye level. Okay, yeah, almost 15 years. Yeah, I know. It is quite a long time. Yeah. Can you teach how to draw any kind of object in boxes? Actually, it's funny how you bring that up. I don't know if I'll be able to do that specifically, but I am going to use boxes to demonstrate how to map out the room that we're about to draw for today's demonstration. And also because I started a little bit late, instead of ending right at 2, or even though we go late anyways, I feel like I always need an extra 30 minutes. Probably will go a little bit past the usual time, so we'll probably end around like 2:15 or 2:30, somewhere around there. So you're starting with a horizon line, and by the way, if you don't know why the horizon line is also called the eye level, it's because the eye level, your horizon line is where your eye level is. So if you're sitting down right now on a chair in a room, in your office, I don't know where you guys are, but or if you're outside in a park, if you're sitting on a bench, when you look straight forward or straight out, that is your horizon line. So if you're always wondering like, oh, I want to draw this like park, I want to draw this waterfall or these trees over here, and I want to figure out where my horizon line is, well, your horizon line is where your eye level is. So wherever you're sitting, wherever your eyes look out towards, that is the eye level. Is how I figured it out. Yeah, that's another way of thinking about it too, where you can think about it as like a photographer's perspective as well. Wherever you're holding the camera is where the horizon line would be as well. And let's see, fine, the Apple Pencil is way easier to hold than the normal one. Oh, let me see. Did someone ask about rulers? I need to learn to draw traditionally first, or can I go straight to digital? I would say you could do both. I think traditional actually teaches you good habits first. So things like how to hold your pencil, how to draw with your whole arm, how to take a step back from your drawing and look at the piece as a whole, and also learning to not have to undo so much, because with traditional you can only erase and you can't undo. So I think traditional art teaches you a lot of good core habits that are very, very useful down the road. And then digital is a really good way to learn principles. So art principles like perspective and color theory, because you can always change things, you can always add things. So I think they both actually have their advantages. I think the best way to learn how to paint is actually with, or learning color theory is to learn it digitally, and learning how to paint, learn it digitally. But learning how to control colors and how to control like your timing and your pacing in painting, I actually think doing it traditionally strengthens your sense of patience and looking at things from a whole. Yeah. Oh, also hello. Is it Gurmeet Singh says hello from India. Well, hello and welcome. I think if you don't do traditional, that's okay. You might just kind of develop some bad habits, I would say, that isn't necessarily only, it's not exclusive, I would say, to digital, but it's easier to develop those bad habits in digital. It's not a big deal, honestly, like whether you start traditionally or digitally, but I do think traditional kind of hones in on and lets you practice good habits better, if that makes sense. The opportunities to practice good drawing habits are more necessary for traditional than it is in doing it digitally. Yeah, in other words, just do it. Just do it however it is. But I do think that sometimes having a new medium or using a new medium can change the way you problem solve how the things that you're drawing. That I may pick up if I don't do traditional. All the things that I mentioned. So I think when you draw digitally, people get very kind of caught up with how they just use their fingers and their wrists when they're drawing. Not that you can't develop these bad habits traditionally, but it's easier to develop these good habits when you do traditional. Digital, because you're all stuck with a screen, you will tend to lean more into using your wrist and your fingers. Whereas traditional, if you're working with a large sketchbook, it's easier to draw with your whole arm. It's easier to be looser because you can feel the paper underneath your pencil. You can kind of feel how much weight you're putting down on your pen and pencil. Whereas digital, you can kind of get a little bit lost with that tactile feeling. Also the Control Z, so the undo aspect is also a big thing. I think having the ability to never really make a mistake or being able to clean up all your mistakes digitally creates these bad habits of just kind of throwing things at the wall, seeing what works. But when you draw traditionally, because you can only erase so many times, you have to be a little bit more intentional or conscious about the decisions you're making before you put those marks in. But I also think like drawing traditionally gets you to understand or forces you to think ahead a little bit before you commit to a mark or a color or a value. So yeah, and then the other thing is like teaching you to move your whole arm. I think that's like one of the biggest skills, is like learning how to be loose and not too tense when you're drawing is a skill that's much easier to develop traditionally than digitally. Again, these are all like, it's not to say that you can't develop these habits digitally, but I feel like traditional encourages these good habits easier than digital. It's a very like minute, subtle differences. So that's why in the end it doesn't really matter, but I think that's what I've noticed. Being a traditional artist and then moving to digital, these are some of the differences that I've noticed between like habits that I'm picking up digitally that I would never pick up traditionally. But yeah, so a little bit of a tangent, but it's a really good question, I think. Okay, so going back to the 2-point perspective though, we're going to start with the horizon line, and then the next thing is we are going to mark our maybe I'll write that down. Mark the 2 vanishing points. So this is something that I would actually encourage you to try to do on a sketchbook or digitally. Mark out the frame that this kind of exercise will have. So don't draw a square like that fills up the whole entire page. Mark it square inside of your sketchbook or inside of your working space if you're doing this digitally, so that when you mark your vanishing points, you can actually mark the vanishing points outside of your square. And the reason why is because most of the times, most drawings that you do, the vanishing points, if you're drawing something like perfectly right in the middle, like perfectly even, your vanishing points are actually going to be outside of your working space. So a good way to kind of just understand what a good proper prism looks like in perspective is to try to have the vanishing points outside of your working space. If you can, try to have the vanishing points outside of your working space. And now we get to like actually drawing perspective, or drawing like a prism. So in 2-point perspective, always start with the closest part of the prism to you. So I'm gonna write this here. Always start with the closest part to the viewer. So we're just drawing a prism. So what that means is the closest part of the prism to us, the viewer, is the corner of the prism. So that would be like the corner of the box. And in this case, just for simplicity purposes, it's the part of the box that's literally just a line. So I'm going to put a line like right over here. And all you're going to do is you're going to take the 2 top lines and connect them to the vanishing points. So again, very straightforward. You're just going to connect it to here, going to connect it to here. So almost very similar to 1-point perspective, but now we're connecting the 2 corners instead of to just 1 vanishing point like right here. We are connecting it to 2 vanishing points. And just like with 1-point perspective, after you've connected them, all you have to do now is just determine how large do you want this prism to be. So maybe it's like here. If you want it to be a really, really large box, then you can make it like here. So it's really up to you. So I'm going to put it like right here. Usually the closer to the middle, the more normal looking it is. The closer they are to the vanishing points, the more warped they end up looking. So once we mark where we want it to be, then you can go ahead and erase the markings that you had. So gonna erase like here because we don't really need it. And I'm just gonna lightly erase the lines here so that we can still see them. And you can know that they're there, but you can see the prism for what it really is. And then I'm gonna mark the lines in blue. Whoops. So that we can see the prism for what it is. And there you go. You have a prism in three-dimensional space. But I tend to lean more towards digital. Oh, that's totally fine. Yeah, I started off as a traditional artist, and I've now leaned more towards digital. But I would say every now and then I still do a lot of like portrait studies or figure studies traditionally. Just because, yeah, it's a very different mentality doing digital versus traditional. If you guys ever are in an area that has a space to do this, I actually highly encourage you guys go check out a figure drawing workshop. So any drawing studio that has figure drawing sessions, I actually highly encourage that you guys go there and do it traditionally, because what you'll learn and what you'll realize is that there is a difference between drawing something digitally versus drawing something digitally. It might not seem like, it's kind of maybe hard to wrap your head around it if you've never done both before, or if you've never done traditional figure drawing before. But when you go and sit down in front of the model and you draw it traditionally with a huge like newspad print with a charcoal pencil, or even just with a sketchbook with pencil, what you'll realize is that there's this different sense of space. The sense of depth and perspective and space around you as you're drawing traditionally is very different. Can I do a sketchbook flip through someday? Oh, that would be kind of fun. That'd be kind of neat. Maybe I could kind of set that up maybe for one of my AMAs one day, maybe. And Miro, hello, welcome. Glad you're able to join us. Oh, is there a rule of thumb for how far outside the frame the VPs should be? Let me see. I would say the further away the vanishing points are, think about it this way. Think of yourself as a viewer. So I did this for my class one. I think I did this for you guys too, for 1 point perspective. Think of yourself as looking outside of a window. Actually, let me do it in a different way. Imagine this here is the window. This is a window. And you are standing right here, looking outside of this window. The vanishing point is basically going outside this way, like this. And it's like way out over here. So basically you can kind of think of the vanishing points as where it is in relationship to you. The further away you are from the window, the more it kind of pushes back the vanishing points for whatever it is that you're looking at. And not only that, so it kind of like shrinks the objects. So you're still looking through everything through this window. But now everything that you're seeing is like maybe scaled back a little bit more. The perspective of the objects flatten a little bit more. So these vanishing points are now like way further apart. So imagine if there was a horizon line that cut right here. these vanishing points would settle right here. Whereas these vanishing points would settle over here. And what that means is like the things flatten out more. The closer the vanishing points are together on the horizon line. So maybe actually that's a good demonstration to show. Here, I'll draw a vanishing point, like where they're really, really close together. And I'm going to draw a prism right here. Or I'll put it up here actually instead. And just gonna connect these two together. And what you'll slowly start to notice, even though my lines are like a little bit shaky, notice how much sharper the box looks. Look how much more kind of intense the angles look. So it's not necessarily that they are incorrect or it doesn't look like a good proper prism, but it sharpens and it almost in a way skews the perspective of the box a little bit. Notice how this one here looks way more like intense and sharper because of how much closer they are. And this one, for the one that's further away, maybe I'll draw a different one, like right here. If I have it going towards the box here, we're getting a little bit into the weeds of perspective, but hopefully this shows you kind of how the placement of the vanishing points can change the feel or look of the drawing. So if I have this one go this way, okay, something like that. So I'm just gonna erase it, clean it up a little bit. So what you'll notice is that this one here is way more normal looking, I guess you could say. It's not as skewed looking, it's not as sharp, quote unquote, looking. It's everything's a little bit more level. And that's because the further away vanishing points are from each other, everything flattens out a little bit more. Everything kind of evens out. Whereas if vanishing points are closer together, it intensifies the angles. It intensifies kind of the sharpness of the object. So what's also kind of interesting is that this one here is more closer to what a 90-degree box would look like. This starts to get the feeling that this is not exactly a perfect 90-degree angle box. This can kind of come off as a more like a rhombus. So a box that looks more like this. If we were looking at it from a top view, it might look more like that. So top view. Oops. Top view. And then this one would be more like this from top view. So this one feels more square-like. This one feels more like a rhombus type of a shape. So that's why it's always, if you're drawing a more structured environment, it is good to have your vanishing points usually outside of your working space a little bit. And that's where like perspective grids come in handy. That's where kind of like getting maybe even like perspective templates can also be like really, really useful. But yeah, hopefully this kind of just shows you a difference. So you'll notice how I put them exactly right on top of each other, but they feel very, very different from one another just because of where I put the vanishing points. So think of it like these guys, this demonstration right over here. So that's kind of where this one kind of comes into play. So if like kept going on, then the horizon line's gonna be like right here. Or the vanishing point for this one's like right there. So it's a little bit further away, things kind of flatten out a little bit, and it feels more zoomed out. Whereas if your horizon line is closer, then objects are kind of sharper looking, and it looks like you are standing closer to an object. So that's why this almost has like a feeling like we're looking up at the object, and it's a very like intense angle. Whereas this one, it looks more level. So that's kind of just the difference between the two. But yeah, actually that's kind of it though. For drawing a prism, you draw the closest part of the prism to you, and then you mark the corners, and always have the corners just going towards the vanishing points. And yeah, if you guys want to follow along with this, feel free to rewatch the VOD afterwards if you want to, and try out this exercise if you've never done 2-point perspective before. But yeah. Jara, was there free exercises? Oh, there are free exercises. Cool. Yeah, buying is good to refresh your nib. Let me see. Oh yeah, the monthly art thing has been shown. Yes. Oh, what is the most satisfying thing about art? I think it's kind of just the creative process of it. You know, problem solving, kind of figuring out how something works, and you know, it's like a puzzle. I find that it's like a puzzle when there's nothing, you have a blank page, and then you have to figure out what you're going to draw, how you're going to draw it, and then as you're drawing it, you're coming across like obstacles and hiccups, and then you have to like figure out like how to fix it. And I like that aspect, that back and forth about art. Okay, so this is 2-point perspective for just like the basics of it. I'm gonna show you guys really quickly, because I remember one time, Get the Feels, you asked me like, oh wait, have we ever learned to draw a house before? And if you guys ever want to draw a house, I'm just gonna quickly show you how you can draw a house, just in case some of you guys have never drawn or tried drawing a house before. So I'm just gonna put it in this corner over here. So I'm gonna go and say house exercise. Okay, so with the house exercise, this is one that you can very easily try, because I know that when we do exercises like this, it's like, okay, great, just drawing some boring old boxes, whoop-de-doo. But but then it's always like that application question. How do I draw something that I actually want to draw? Well, I'm going to show you how it works. Oh, you know what? Yeah, actually, I guess that's fine. So I'm going to draw a horizon line inside of here to show you an applicational aspect of how you can draw a house. So I'm going to put the horizon line right here. Oops, that's way too thick. I'm gonna make it 5. And I'm going to mark the horizon lines as far as I could put them. I want to give a little bit of space between the frame of the box, but yeah. And then I'm going to draw the box in blue right in the middle. So the first time you ever tried doing 2-point perspective, try to put it right in the middle as best as you can. So I'm gonna put it like right over here in this area, in this space. So it looks like, wait, you're not gonna use up this whole entire area? Well, here's the weird thing about perspective, is that the closer you are to the middle, so for 2-point perspective, the further away you are from the vanishing points, the more normal your drawing is going to look. The closer an object is to the vanishing points, the more skewed your object is. So that's why we're going to try to work within this sweet spot. This is the sweet spot of 2-point perspective. In 1-point perspective, the sweet spot is anywhere closer to the vanishing point. So it's actually the opposite. With 1-point perspective, the closer you are to the vanishing point, the more normal the box will look. Whereas with 2-point perspective, the further you are away from the vanishing points, the more normal your box will look. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to put a line right over... I'm just going to use my mouse to draw this because it's just with lines. So we're going to draw a line right here. Again, starting with the part of the box that is closest to you. Remember, that is kind of what you want to keep an eye on. So if I'm drawing the house, I'm drawing the corner of the box that's closest to me. And then I am going to take the two corners and connect them to the vanishing points. So same thing, I'm just going to take the corners and I'm just going to use a line tool. If you're doing this traditionally, feel free to use a ruler. There is no shame in trying to just learn this first and use a ruler, and then down the road you can try using your like a freehand in drawing these lines. So I'm going to mark the lines going here, and now I'm going to determine how large I want my house to be. So I'm going to say, let's have the front of the house. The front of the house is going to be on the right. I'm going to make it like this big. And then the side of the house is going to be a little bit longer. Doesn't really matter. It's however long you want to make it the house. And now I am going to just color in the areas that I wanted the house, actual house shape to be in. So I'm just coloring in those lines again. I did alpha lock the layer. So the checkerboard kind of thing on my layer over here. So I'll say perspective guides. And then this is my house. On the house layer, I did lock the alpha lock so that I don't go outside of the lines. So that was kind of useful. And now I'm going to unlock it. And now we have the base of the house. So the only thing now we have to figure out is where or how do we draw the rooftop. So with the rooftop, we have to figure out where the middle of the roof is going to be, where the point of the roof is. So in order to figure that out, we need to draw we need to find the center of this shape here. And if you didn't know, the way to find out where the center of something is you connect the corners together. So I'm going to connect the corners together, and then from here, I'm just going to draw a straight line up. This is where the center of the house is in perspective. So if you take your fingers and you measure it, you'll notice that, oh, this side is larger than this side. And that's because in perspective, this is getting further and away from us. So it's going to feel shorter or thinner. So that's why the middle is not perfectly in the middle. It is, you need to use the X to find out where the middle is. Oh, whoops. And now that we found the middle, you can determine where or how tall you want your roof to look. So I'm going to say, like, I want the roof to be this high. So I'm, again, just kind of connect the dots, connect the corner, connect it to the corners, and there we go. We have one side of the house. Now, you might be like, okay, well, now I need to figure out the other side. Do I just take this and connect it all the way down to this vanishing point on the left? It's like, no. If I did that, so I'm going to show you what it looks like. It looks a little bit like, okay, well, what angle do I have this area then? So that's kind of like the tricky part. So before we connect them, I am going to figure out what the box or the house looks like on the inside. And in order to do this, this gets a little bit trippy, but stick with me here. I'm going to start with the left side of the house. We're going to start with this area right over here. And I'm going to take the two corners and I'm going to connect them to the right vanishing point. So maybe actually let me write that down. This here is the right vanishing point. And this here is the left vanishing point. And I am going to take this corner and connect it to the right vanishing point. Because it is on the left side of the house, it goes to the right vanishing points. They always go to the opposite side. So the left corner of the house goes to the right vanishing point. And you might be like, Josh, why are you talking like this? Well, it's isn't it pretty straightforward? You do not know how many times I've had to kind of walk this through with people, and people are just like, wait, which one do I connect it to? And then the house gets all skewed and weird looking. This is the same for me too. The first time I learned how to draw a prism, I always had to kind of like, I feel like I had to dig in my memory a bit like, wait, which vanishing point does it go to again? it sounds really weird, but like once if you don't know, you don't know, I guess. And so that's why you have to practice it, and then you build it into your muscle memory. You get a feel and familiarity with where things need to go in terms of the vanishing points. So me explaining it like this right now, hopefully it drills it into your heads for anybody who's never done 2-point perspective before, so that you kind of get a feel for where things need to go. So now we're going to connect the right side of the house and connect it to the left vanishing point. And notice that I'm starting to have parts of the house that intersect with each other. So here, I'm going to look for the intersections. And that is here and here. And I'm going to connect these two with a line. Now, it might not be perfectly straight, so I would just pick whichever one you want to go with. I'm going to pick with the one up here, and I'm just going to draw, holding down shift, clicking drag. I'm going to say that this is where the corner of the box is on the furthest side. So remember, this is the closest corner to us, the viewer. This is the corner of the house that's furthest away from us. Now that we figured out where this furthest corner is, I'm going to find the middle of this side of the house. So just like how we found the middle of this side of the house, I want to find out where the corner of this side of the house is. So same thing, I'm just going to cross the corners, make an X. This X tells me where the center of the house is, and I'm again just going to draw a straight line up. Doesn't matter how high you make that line. Now we know where the other peak of the rooftop is. So now when I draw or connect the rooftop from here to the left vanishing point, wherever it intersects, this is where the corner of the house is. And so now I can connect this point to this corner of the house, and now I have a rooftop. Voila, and there you go. So you have, this is like one of the first exercises that everybody probably does when they learn how to draw in perspective, because it teaches you everything that you kind of need to know, and it also teaches you the fundamentals and basics for how perspective works and how to get it going. You learn how to connect things, the corners, to the vanishing points. You learn how to scale things. You learn how to find the center of things. And you also learn how to draw things that are not prism shaped, like the rooftop. And then you can add other things that you want as well. Like, for example, if I wanted to add like a field, I can find kind of just like a random corner, connect it to the vanishing point, and be like, here is my field. I'm gonna draw it in the same light blue color. So I'm, again, just connecting it to the vanishing point. And maybe I'm gonna say, like, here is the back of the field, and here is the other side of the field. And I'm going to just alpha locking. I'm going to change the color of it just so that I can see them better. I think it's like right here. So here's where my field would be, like if I had like a garden, and then if I had like a fence, for example, well, guess what? I could do the same thing. I can just have it go from like here straight down to the corner, having go all the way across maybe to like here. And then we can drop it down, drop another one down, go across, and then drop it straight down. And there we go. We have a fence. Now, is the fence symmetrical? It's not, but that's okay. So there we go. Now I have a bit of like a fence, so to speak. So then you keep building upon this. I can put a door there. I can put a window. I could put like maybe those window blockers. And this is, you can keep expanding from this. This is where the hell begins. Yeah. So it does get really messy. So I do highly encourage that if you guys end up working on this or trying this out, to erase as you need to, as need be. So obviously, like, some people are okay with seeing all these lines, some people are not. Just kind of keep an eye on it. It's kind of up to you on how much you are willing to see all this mess. So let's just kind of maybe erase the inside a little bit. So like in a way it makes it feel like it's a little bit more cleaned up. Oh. I'm gonna make a new layer on top. Yeah, if you hear it, I don't know if you guys if the mic is gonna be able to pick up the thumping. There's some, if anybody's new joining, I told chat here that there's a little bit of work being done in the backyard. So if you hear any noises, it is the work being done in the yard. So we clean all this up here. We get kind of an idea as to what this fence looks like. And then we'll start the apothecary shortly. But yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions about perspective, because I know that this might be a little bit new for some people, and if you want to try out this exercise, I definitely highly encourage you try it and follow along with it on your own time if you are able to, and give it a shot, because most people will be able to draw the boxes, but the house is kind of like a real test of how well you understand perspective and how well you know how to create something that is more recognizable. Because we can all draw boxes, and like no matter how you draw the boxes, it'll be like, okay, whatever. But when you draw a house, like a barn, that is when your brain kind of kicks in and be like, either the house doesn't look really weird or that doesn't look really quite correct. But yeah. How do we apply this to organic objects? Oh, well, okay, really quick before we dive into the what is it, the apothecary, because I do think this will probably apply to the apothecary if we're gonna draw like pots or cups or vases or potion bottles and everything like that. General rule of thumb with let me draw it over here actually. Put it like here, and let me put it here, and I'm going to say, let's say like right here. Okay. An organic shape, an ellipse, is going to be kind of based on like you guys probably have heard of the whole in order to draw a square, or in order to draw a circle, draw a square and fit the circle inside of the square. So you divide the square in quadrants as close as you can get it to. Whoops. So let's say it's like here. Now your circle has to hit these 4 corners, and it needs to round about and hit these corners as best as you can while making it feel very organic and circle-like. Now I'm not going to try to clean this up, but this is the idea. You use a square to draw a circle. In perspective, it's the same idea, but you kind of draw 3 sides. Doesn't matter which sides you draw. You get the first corner, the V, and then whatever side you draw doesn't really matter. It's up to you. Your circle needs to fill inside of this square shape. And let me see. Oops. So it needs to hit all 3 corners properly. And this is how you figure out where your ellipse is probably going to be and what it looks like. Oh. And also, by the way, if anyone's using Krita, if you hold down Alt, that is how you know whether or not you have the right. You can change the position of your circle. So if you're kind of wondering like, oh, well, Josh, isn't there only like, there's like so many variants to it? Yeah, you can get it a little bit off, but what you'll notice is that if I decide to go like, oh, what if I make the circle larger? I want to make it bigger. Notice how if I try to make it bigger, it goes past one of the lines. So I need to push it back. And then if I push it back, you'll notice, oh, it's not hitting the other line. So I got to change it back to hit that line over there. And it's like, oh, well, after doing that, this one doesn't fit, so I have to push it up. So what you'll find is that you'll need to make sure that the circle, the ellipse, hits all three lines as best as it can. This will tell you whether or not your circle or your ellipse is in perspective. So same thing, if I try to put a circle, let's say on this fence over here, or let's say I want to put a circle right here. Well, I already have three lines, so that's great. I can just draw a circle and I can just move it, and I just need to make sure that all three lines hit kind of the spot while also feeling like a circle. So it does get a little finicky, but I'd say it looks like it's kind of, let's say like here. I think that looks correct. So this would be my circle. Maybe it's a little bit too big actually. Oops. So I'm holding down Alt to like shift it so I can kind of better match the position of it. And it takes a little bit of trial and error to figure it out. There's actually a lot of specifics to how to get this right, but I'm not going to go into it because it gets into this really, really deep rabbit hole. I think I did go over it for one of the live streams, but I'm not going to go into it here because it gets into a very tricky, very, very tricky kind of rabbit hole that is too hard to get into. But yeah, so there it is, and all you have to do is just make sure that it is symmetrical from the perspective lines. So it sounds really weird, but you still actually need the horizon line or the vanishing point to kind of get a feel for it. So wherever the middle is, let's say the middle is like here, it needs to feel like it's passing through like this way. So I might kind of take this and rotate it just a smidge, like that. And yeah, there we go. Now we have a bit of a better ellipse that matches perspective. So when you're drawing organic, basically this is just like a long-winded way of saying, general rule of thumb, the higher the ellipse is, the higher like a ellipse, let's say you're drawing like a mug, and like the mug is down here, the horizon line is down here, if you remember. So the lower it is, the more open it is. So this is what it means to have an ellipse be more open. The closer an ellipse is to the horizon line, the more narrow it gets. And then once it gets to the horizon line, it becomes flat. And then the higher the ellipse gets, again, it starts opening up a little bit more. And it gets a little bit more open. Further up it gets. Again, you can draw a square to see if you're relatively close. And then probably if it's like up here, it's almost like a circle. I'm drawing a really bad circle right now just to just to get a feel for it. Just to show you guys really quickly an example of like an ellipse that's opening up more and more as you draw it higher and higher, further and further away from the horizon line. So it's getting further and further away. You can kind of see it opens up more and more. So you can use a square to check it relatively. But yeah, it takes a little bit of practice, get a feel for it. Yeah. How to use triangle and circle. Triangle, all you have to do is draw a square. So remember this with the house. If you find the middle of a square, you can find where the triangle corner is going to be. So this is how you make a square feel like it's in perspective. So if I go here, or where is it? Yeah. if I draw a square and it looks like this, I just have to find the center of this square, and this tells me like, oh, center of the square is like here, which means that if I draw a triangle in perspective, this is what it looks like. Okay, so hopefully that kind of explains a little bit of how to draw a triangle. And yeah, these notes I'm going to share them with you guys on Discord afterwards, so keep an eye on the live stream channel where I'll be sharing this with you guys on Discord. The final demo itself will go onto Instagram and Discord, but if you want the lesson notes in particular, you can get them on Discord. If not, feel free to, I guess, save the image here. I'll open up the image right now so that you can kind of take a look at it. You can save it if you want. You can screenshot it and whatnot, or you can just rewatch the VOD and follow along if you would like. Okay, so hopefully that opens up enough space. And now, you know, I'm gonna make it a little bit longer, maybe even a little bit more. So I'm gonna do some like really quick, maybe actually, I don't know, we don't really have time to do a rough, so I'm just gonna draw a very quick frame. So I'm gonna call this the lesson. And yeah. Okay, this is where my piece is going to be. Maybe we'll make it like 12. Yeah, I think you guys probably should be hearing some like thumping. Again, if you're hearing the thumping, there's like work being done in the backyard. Actually, let's make it blue. They're essentially taking out all the wood planks and the wood deck out. I think my parents just wanted to be like a stone backyard, or like nothing. I think it's all like, yeah, stone tiles. Drawing a face is the easier part. You have to make it consistent and know who it will move. Oh, or how it will move. Oh, what are you guys talking about? You guys talking about oh, animation. Oh, I don't know, there's a rule to that. If you can draw a circle, you can animate a bouncing ball. Let me see. Scale of 1 to 10. Oh wait, I've only seen one video. It's pretty adorable. Let me see. Yeah, Krita, I did see this kind of pop up very shortly, but Krita is a very versatile software, so I highly recommend it. It can get a little finicky or buggy a little, so I highly recommend saving as frequently as you can, and also just make sure that you can. I think you can. Well, maybe not make sure, but the nice thing about Krita is that they have a pretty robust or pretty reliable autosave system. So there's been a lot of times where I accidentally like lost, like it crashed on me, and saved like a decent amount of my progress. So yeah, I think Josh has a video on keeping consistent, but it's for character sheets. Oh, I mean, I do have one for like character models, and character models do help with making sure your characters feel consistent. Okay, let me see. So here, what do I got? Okay, I'm just gonna kind of wing it, but I did want to kind of go through very quickly as to, actually, let me shrink this down a little bit. What is up here? Oh, I drew the... Oh, okay. Whoops. Let me see. Okay. So this is my frame. I'm not going to do it rough because we're a little bit tight on time, so I'm just going to kind of wing it, but I will show you how I like to sometimes set up a 2-point perspective scenario. So just like with the demonstration, I'm going to have my frame here, and I'm going to put my horizon line, let's see, like right around the middle, but I'm going to lower it down a bit to here. So kind of, okay, not in the middle, I guess. That's false. But I'm going to put it roughly around the lower third. So I'm going to use the rule of thirds to help me. So I'm going to call this perspective guide. And so someone brought up like, oh, how can you draw something with a bunch of like cubes or prism? So I'm actually going to kind of use that approach. So I'm going to mark where my horizon line is, and I'm going to map out the vanishing points to be right over here. And you'll notice that personally, I like to use kind of a vertical line to mark my vanishing points. And that's just because I find it's much easier than a dot. I feel like a dot can kind of distort the size and placement of your vanishing points. But if you mark it with a line, it kind of like X marks the spot kind of a thing. So I'm going to put them here, and I'm going to write that down. And say L vanishing point and R vanishing point. And again, remember that this is the horizon line or the eye line, eye level. 24 drawings of faces? Oh, is this like a challenge? It's like where you draw, oh, with the 24 frames. Ah, you know what? Here's the funny thing. You don't actually have to fill up all the frames. Depends on what you're drawing. If you're doing an action scene, really quick tip, I guess, a side note for animation. Even though, yes, most of us are probably going to be working either with 12 or 24 frames a second, it doesn't actually mean you have to draw and fill up every single frame. Depending on the action and what you're doing, you can get away with not filling up every single frame. So like really fast action sequences, you can get away with only filling up some of the frames and only the necessary frames. Whereas if you're drawing a slower scene that is a little bit more like nuanced, then yeah, you might have to fill up a lot of the frames. Yeah, animation is tough. There's a lot of work that goes into it, for sure, Angela. Yeah, 7,200 frames is a lot. Yeah, exactly. The ease in and ease out rule allows you to kind of sometimes skip some of the frames. Okay, so with the apothecary, what I was going to draw is like we got to have a counter, right? So with the counter, like the countertop with things, I am going to put it pretty close to the middle. And this is kind of like what I was talking about, where instead of drawing out all the objects, I'm actually going to draw out the prisms. So I'm going to mark where I want things to be with just a bunch of boxes. Now, this might look really, really messy in the beginning, but we're going to clean it up as we go, so it's easier to work with. And the countertop, just like with a box, I'm going to mark the part that's closest to us, and I'm going to have the corner go to the vanishing point. And I'm going to maybe even mark a little bit of like here. So this would be like the I don't know, the upper platform of the counter. And this is a really large table. So yeah. And we can end it here. Maybe. And let's say I have that be the corner. Actually, this is a really large countertop. I guess I would have to actually have the vanishing points be much further away. So I might shrink that. I'm gonna shrink that a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna restart it. So And then I'm going to clean it up afterwards. So I'm going to put the same thing, just going to put the box here, right here, connect all the corners. And I'm using like a pretty thin marker, depending on how large your drawing is. Your drawing might be a little bit different, but yeah, I'm kind of having it at that size. Let's have it be a lot larger. Also this way, I don't know, hopefully I can kind of get away with not drawing the counter, like the bottom of bottles. So I'm just marking really quickly where this countertop is. I'm just kind of randomly putting it somewhere. Okay, so it looks something like this. That's pretty good. And then I'm gonna have maybe like a book over here. The book is more organic, so I don't have to worry about that. What I'm going to map out is maybe some bottles over here. So that, I actually don't think I'm gonna draw that out with the line tool. I'm just gonna draw it, map it out. So around here, this is where we can add like a box too. So maybe like a chest box. A chest box, maybe. Oh. Sometimes the line tool is a little finicky. I have a little chest. I want to get a chance to show off, you know, a little bit of the, not show off, but like show off the perspective. So I'm going to show a bit of the side of that chest box. But it's going to be covered by a bottle, so it's not too big of a deal. And then I'm going to map out the bottles. So I'm going to say I want a bottle like maybe right over here, like a potion bottle. And we see the tops of it. So remember how I said that rule for the ellipses? The further up it is, the more you see of the bottom of the bottle. So we're going to have like a cork over there. Gonna have it like that maybe. And then this box, you know, we're gonna have it also be a little bit larger. So the cool thing about perspective, it's all a sense of scale. So the larger you have things that are recognizable, or like once you start putting things that are recognizable, your brain kind of starts understanding. It's like, oh, okay, you know, the first time I drew it, the sense of scale feels really like odd, feels really off. But then once you put in those details, your brain kind of actually fills in those details for you, and you start kind of understanding like, oh, okay, the room's actually this large, or it's actually this big, kind of thing. So it's really, really cool. We'll put like a little candle maybe right here. I don't know if that's like a bad placement for a candle, but put a candle like there. And the candle usually has like a what? It's on those like those candle holders, these old school candle holder thingies. And because we're below the table and the horizon line is set down here, we're basically looking up at things for the whole entire sequence. So we're not really gonna be, or not sequence, but the whole entire scenery is basically just going to be looking up at stuff. So yeah, it's really gonna be pretty straightforward. And let's see, let's add like a skull. Gotta have a skull. I feel like that's kind of a given. So I think someone asked like, oh, how do you like draw a skull onto like the table and everything? Well, just think of it as a sphere, and the eyes are going to follow the perspective. So if I have a skull over here, the eyes, like the eye sockets, are going to follow the perspective lines. Now I have one right here, just kind of ended up being kind of perfect. So I'm going to put it right there. And I'm going to draw in like the nose hole, and then the other parts of the skull maybe. And because again, we're looking above the table, we're not going to see some of the details that are there. So I'm just going to draw in this like really big cartoonish eye because, you know, let's have some fun with this apothecary. So let's draw in the skull here. The eye can be over here and everything. And let's have like a little kind of robe, not robe, but this drop kind of banner that comes in. And banners, if you want it to kind of fold over onto your table, give it a little bit of a ruffle. So don't have it be perfectly straight. Make it a little bit uneven, because whenever you've ever seen kind of like a towel or anything drape over something, like a picnic blanket even, and have it be perfectly straight. No, they're always a little bit offset just by a little bit. So kind of keep that in mind. It makes your drawings feel much more livelier. And then the other thing too, because remember, we're looking away from the table, this part of the banner, I'm actually going to push it here. This part of the banner is going to be a lot thinner than the other side. So here, this kind of this border is going to be thinner than the border on the other side. So just kind of keep that in mind when you draw it. And you know, it's a skull, but you know, why have a skull if you're not going to also have like a raven over here? So let's put in a raven. And I don't know how, let me see, what do ravens look like? A raven. Let's see how they stand. Ooh, I like that one. Gonna draw it. It's got a pretty big, like very sharp face. Kind of pretty big head. And it's got like this fluff of feathers around its neck. So I'm just gonna put it here, very like roughly. Yeah, something like that. Just gonna hover around here. Move it up just a little bit so that it feels more like it's sitting on top of the skull. And yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. And then we can add a few more like potion bottles and everything. And I feel like this is where we can have a little bit of fun with the potion bottles. So if we draw a really big one here, we can maybe put something inside of it. So you'll notice that all the bottles, the curves at the top of the bottle opening, they're all curving up because again, they're positioned above the horizon line. I want to make sure that the bottle openings are all consistent. And let's see, what can we put here? We can put a giant like eyeball. Why would an eyeball be a bottle stopper? I do not know, but I feel like that would be kind of cool. So we have a bottle stopper that is in the shape of an eyeball, kind of thing. And then inside the bottle, I don't know. Guys, let me know what you want to see inside of the bottle. Let me make it a little bit larger. And here we go. There it is. Our bird boy, he's losing weight. Yeah, I have to fit him in a little bit. I mean, I guess we can make him a little bit larger again. Let's see. It's a really large bird. What I'm trying to do is also pay a little bit of attention to the size and the proportions of things. Let me see. I'm really interested in camera work and animation. Ooh, that one's you know what? That's a cool one because I feel like that's not usually what a lot of people go into typically. So all the best to going into camera work. That's a cool one. And we can have like, okay, so for going back to the hand, let's draw like a giant claw or like finger going at this. A little zombie hand. Now, I don't know what kind of apothecary this is and why you would want to go check out this apothecary in particular if there's like a giant like hand holding it down, but I guess it is what it is. I don't know why all the things I'm drawing so far is like leaning more into like the creepier side. Like yesterday's phone booth is a little bit creepy, and this one's a little bit on the creepy side. But I don't know. I feel like, you know, if it's an apothecary, time to have a little bit of fun with the look of it. And I guess we can put a lock here. The giant kind of lock. So again, I'm using perspective to figure out the angle that this lock should be in. I'm realizing that I probably have it in the wrong spot, so the lock actually should be more like here. Based on, so again, if you're wondering like, oh, Josh, how'd you know that the lock should be shifted? So this goes back to the whole house rooftop thing. I find the X of this box, and it's like, oh, okay, the middle of the box is around here, which means that if I build a lock, the middle of the lock also needs to sit kind of around here as well. So I'm gonna rebuild and shift the lock over so it matches that. Drawing a corner of a witch's hut. I guess so, in a way. If you don't pay, it grabs you. Ooh, I like that. Mint leaves and glitter. Josh is ready for Halloween. I guess it's like, yeah, exactly. Never a bad time to be into Halloween. Okay, so for the window, I'm actually going to put the window back here. And I am going to use perspective. Whoops. I'm going to use the line tool and kind of mark the window. And the window is just going to be this like small little thing. Now you might be like, wait, Josh, why are you drawing the window on the outside? And that's because I want to make it feel like this window is like built outside of this scene, and it's not just cropped in because, you know, I cropped it in this way. But I want to like fully draw out the window so it kind of makes sense for where it is. So I'm just gonna mark a window here. So same thing, I'm going to just kind of draw a line, and this one is a little bit tricky, but I'm going to just connect it. And there we go. We have the window, small little window scene. I'm going to clean up the window so there's a little bit more personality to the window. We only need this bit here. And gonna draw out the sill of the window. And you know, I'm gonna raise it up just because I'm noticing that it's hitting the counter. So I'm gonna raise the window up a little bit. I'm gonna draw the bottom of it. And so it's like here, and we can also add a little bit of... Oh yeah, I don't know, for those of you guys who were not here on Saturday, I think I mentioned it. I finally watched The Odyssey. There is, I guess, like, not really, well, you know, I won't say what it is, but yeah, there's a scene in that movie. It's pretty eerie, pretty creepy. But yeah, really cool scene. The window. Okay, I wanted the window to be kind of almost what is it? Wanted it to be a little bit more kind of old-timey looking. So the window, I kind of want, what do these old windows usually have? If they're old, I feel like it's stained glass. But if it's stained glass, I don't know, maybe have the window be like this. And then maybe you can have, it's like a stained glass window. I don't know. Just kind of drew something random there. And then we can have also like some shelves over here. So I'm just going to clean up the table, the counter table. And it can give it a little bit of some shakiness. So this way it kind of makes it feel more like an actual drawing of a table and not just like a random kind of like perfectly straight lines. So if you draw tables with and the lines are too perfect, it actually loses a bit of that extra nuance with your drawing. So yeah, I'm gonna try to add it. And let's add like another potion bottle. I feel like we need to add more potion bottles. Corner to left VP. Oh, also, oh, a book, right? Yeah, a book. We need to add a book, right? I keep forgetting we gotta add the book. Ooh, running out a little bit of space. Maybe I can extend the canvas up a little bit. Here, we're gonna have a little bit of like a book over, let's see. Let's have it angled this way. Yeah, if you know, good rule of thumb, you run out of space, just expand the canvas a little bit. This is the rough, by the way, so that's why I'm okay with it just kind of like being very loose and rough and messy. But yeah, the book will be here. It's blocked by other stuff. We want it to feel very just like crowded and very, very, very like just a lot of things going on. Actually, in this case, I might actually move the composition up so the horizon line is actually maybe like right at the bottom. And this is our new composition. Like it's up a little bit higher to here. So this might be our new bottom. We move the camera up. We can also have like a new bottle over here. Because I want, you know, I feel like with apothecaries, you want it to feel like it's just super crowded. Everything is organized, but everything is just like, feels like there's a lot going on, you know. Oh yeah, I also didn't know did anybody suggest anything for what's in the bar or in the jar? I don't know. My work has shifted almost entirely in the creepy direction too. Josh, it's felt. Well, glad. I feel like, you know, the spooky is always like a fun direction to head into. Spooky plant in a pot on the sill. Oh, a plant. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we could do that. We can have like a little bit of fun with maybe like a Venus flytrap kind of a plant. You can have a little bit of like a eerie. Well, it's not eerie, I guess. It's kind of goofy looking. I kind of want. I don't know if anybody's ever made it or been to like, what is it? Universal Studios before, but I feel like with Universal Studios they have that like their monsters and their creepy Halloween night kind of setup, and I feel like it's less spooky, but it's more of like a vibe. They were trying to build more of like this eerie kind of cool but like creepy vibe, so it's not like fully scary, but it's like scary enough and atmospheric enough. I feel like their focus is more on the atmosphere than on kind of like the actual spookiness of it. So I feel like that's kind of what I want to go with for this one as well, is like less of like an actual scary place, but more of like an eerie but kind of fun and goofy place. So something like this. But yeah, I don't know, did anybody suggest something? You said eyeballs. Okay, you know, honestly, that fits kind of perfectly. Eyeball, jar full of eyeballs. Fishtail in the jar. Oh, you know, I can put that in the other jar. We could put a fishtail in there. That's kind of eerie. That's kind of weird. Me, mint and glitter, or Venus flytrap. Nice. Yeah, like spooky but cozy. Yeah. Oh, this is a really nice Krita layout. Oh, thank you. Yeah, usually I will go for this if I like having the overview sometimes on the side over here on the left and the layers right above it, and then like brush presets and the text for like if I'm writing anything or typing anything But the brushes go here, and just in case any of you guys want to follow this layout, the colors are on the right, and the toolbox is, okay, the only reason why actually the toolbox is down here is so that there's a little bit of a backdrop for my avatar to be on. And then the color wheel is over here. If I was drawing this for myself, actually, the color wheel, this is how big the side panel would be, so that I can have a really, really large color wheel. I find that like when doing paintings, having a larger color wheel is useful so that you can be more precise with the colors that you pick. But just for stream purposes, just to give enough space for the drawing itself, I'll put it like here. So yeah. And most of the times when we're drawing, we focus on such a small part of the drawing anyways. Like, we're not usually using the full space, so that's usually why I won't use the whole I won't like have the whole thing like laid out. Like, I'll have it take up a good amount of space is what I'm trying to say. Drawing and talking is hard. But yeah, so usually I'll have it pretty small, the actual drawing window, because for the most part we're not looking at we're not usually needing, I don't usually need to take up that much space, so I usually just have it pretty small. I'm just gonna adjust the fingers so that it takes up more space. Okay, the eyeballs. Ooh, okay, so I'm gonna add a little bit of liquid. A little fun tip for drawing jars: don't have the liquid go all the way to the edge of the jar. Leave a little bit of a space and then have the liquid go inside like this. So it actually makes it feel like your jar has a good amount of depth to it. So we'll draw the eyeballs, and we'll have a little bit of like the liquid going around it. Sorry if this is eerie for some people. Hopefully this is okay, because I know that maybe this might get a little on the gross side for some people, but hopefully it's not too gross. You can kind of see that there's a little bit of fun with this one. Yeah, we'll just draw a lot of like the shapes here for the eyeballs, just a bunch of circles and spheres, and just make sure you crowd it and overlap it so it feels like it's full of something. Oh yeah, over here, what I was going to add was actually like tentacles. A little, I guess, fun fact about me: I'm like octopus or octopi, I don't know. The tentacles creep me out. So I like, ever since I was a kid, octopuses and squids, they were absolutely disgusting for me as a kid. So with that being said though, I love drawing them, which sounds really like kind of weird. It's like, wait, Josh, you're grossed out by it, but you like drawing it? Like, what the heck? What's up with that? I don't know. They're just kind of fun to draw for like the tentacles and everything. So over here in this jar, I'm gonna draw like just tentacles, just kind of going around, and just gonna draw like a few of these squid, like the little suckers in the tentacles. Or maybe just gonna draw like one of them, just so that it's not too crowded and you can kind of see what it is. Just gonna have it spiral around while also drawing like the holes. So it's more of like, oh, if you can't tell what it is, it's okay, but you kind of get a feel for what it could be. And I always love that. I think like in art, sometimes it's good to leave things a little bit ambiguous, so there's a little bit of fun for the viewers to try to see like what is happening. Swimming potion requires the tail of a fish. Oh, the tail of the fish. Okay. Yeah, okay, I'll add that here for this one, for this jar. We'll add kind of like the tail. So I guess it'll be for people who know, you know? For those who know, you'll know. I always love that. When like you guys join the stream, you know, you get a little bit of say for what I draw in there. And because of that, you guys get to tell me what you want to add. And for people who like look at this maybe in the future or later on, who weren't part of the stream, they'll be like, What is that supposed to be? Well, guess what? If they don't know, you guys know, because you guys are a part of the stream. So I always find that that's always awesome and fun. Okay, so this is kind of the fish tail. A little bit of a weird little fish tail here. And I'm gonna add like just a few indication of like scales, so that if you know, you know. And it's more of like, if you can't tell, you know, those of you guys will know. Stream perks, exactly, yeah. I'm glad this is not realistic or I would fade. Yeah, I think that's kind of where I think the whole Universal inspiration comes from as well, where it's like, if you ever go to Universal and you go to like their more like the haunted worlds, or if you go during like Halloween, it's like, yeah, it can be maybe a little bit spooky, but I feel like their emphasis is more of like having fun with the environments rather than actually making it scary. So yeah, what should we have here? We'll have like, maybe we can have like a indication of like some creature's head. Maybe it's Frankenstein, I don't know. I feel like this is looking, it's less of an apothecary, and it's more of like this very interesting room full of knickknacks and whatnot. Draw maybe like a hair here. Yeah, the neck would be like here. Let's have the brow here, and then we can have the nose kind of stick out. So if you guys ever want to draw like the back of something, and we're looking at the back of a head, you kind of obscure the eyes and the nose as well, and you have the ear much closer to the front of the head. So maybe put it here. It's not exactly like a exact Frankenstein, but I feel like it's close enough that it might kind of be like, oh, is that Frankenstein? Don't know. Yeah. Just gummy eyeballs. Yeah. I really like jellyfish. Oh, jellyfish would be really cool. Let me see. What is my favorite fantasy movie or series? Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I've never really thought of what mine would be. Maybe, I don't know. Lord of the Rings, I feel like, is a good safe one, you know, to go for. I feel like you can never go wrong with Lord of the Rings, you know. Oh, also here, I don't know. Do I want something over here? Maybe we'll have like a giant eyeball. Kind of like, oh yeah, so the pattern alignment is going to be fairly straight, just because it is near the horizon line. It might angle up a little bit, but it will kind of favor more of that side. But yeah. Oh, also, gotta have a little bit of a wax grip off, or some kind of residue coming off the top of the table. I don't know, just to give it again that extra little bit of eeriness. But yeah. Oh man, okay, I feel like we're missing something here. Oh yeah, for those again who joined a little bit later and maybe didn't hear me saying this, because we started a little bit late because we had a little bit of a technical hiccup, we're going to push our stream a little bit further than usual. But yeah. Ooh, okay, maybe like just a simple faith character. So maybe we'll look up at this character here. Maybe I'll go and do it a bit more of a cartoonier style. Let me see. What is that? Really like that Adventure Time style. So let me see. Oh, like an open bean mouth. We got. I guess we're going to open bean mouth. Don't. It's like a bit of like a. I don't know how this is looking. I don't know. It's like I don't know how this is gonna turn out. Kind of a feel. And let me see. The neck, maybe about here. And then we have a little bit of like the hair. Have like maybe like bangs over here. I don't know what kind of hairstyle this is, but kind of just going for it. Yeah. Man, I guess we can give it a little bit of like a witch hat. Have the hat go up. Maybe this way. And it comes back down. Over here. So maybe like this. And again, similar, basically the same rule. Because we're looking up at the character, the hair is going to be, the hat, I mean. The hat is going to be circling down way more. So it starts to become more of like a circle. Rather than a very sharp ellipse. And let me see. Maybe she'll have the hair closer. Maybe here. Alright, there we go. Bit of a funny hairstyle, but I think it's okay. And we can have maybe like the hand. This is a very crowded drawing, but that's okay. Sure, maybe something like this. I think will be kind of fun. And okay, one last thing, and then we'll clean it up a little bit. I'm gonna have the bookshelf. I feel like if you're a witch, you gotta have a shelf. Or if you're kind of working in some kind of medicinal boutique, you gotta have a bit of a shelf. So you can see all the vertical lines that I'm drawing, they're going straight, whereas these angled lines, they are not going straight. Oh, actually, it needs to go like this. It's a much more intense angle. Stretching the limits of the perspective here, I'd say. Technically, I think I need to start pushing this into 3-point perspective, but that's okay. It's getting a little, like, warped, but that's fine. Alright, there we go. Here's our little illustration. Josh, where's the broom? Creepy looking candy. I guess it's yeah, it's candy. No, no, this is the witch's brewing or making of the playing I Spy. Oh, true. Everything be creepy until the kawaii show up. Yeah, you know, it helps to balance it out a little bit. The broom. Oh man, I don't know about space. You know, this will be a little hint of the broomstick. It's right here. Because we're cutting off the height of this. So, okay. Now with this being said, you might be like, okay, wait, Josh, you know, it's all very rough and we all have this crop out and it's very small. What are you gonna do now to adjust for it? Well, this is our entire drawing right here. This, I'm gonna say that it is our rough. And now I'm gonna clean it up a little bit by making it bigger. So I'm gonna duplicate this. And then we're just gonna, I wonder if I can merge. Okay, cool. I'm gonna move this. We're gonna make this file even longer. It's already pretty long. We're gonna make it even longer. So now that we have the rough, the point of the rough is to know where things would be going in perspective. But now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to lower this here and make it larger, so that when I do the final cleanup, it actually is in the size that I want it to be. So this way, now I don't really have to worry about perspective. All I have to worry about is the drawing of it. So I'm going to make a new layer. This is going to be the final one, and I'm going to just grab like a darker brush. Let's go with like a dark blue, or maybe even just this one here. I think this will be fun. Yeah. And as always, we're gonna try to, we'll maybe push this to like maybe 2.5 hours. So we'll probably finish this around 2:30 or 2:40. And again, like before, because we're only doing this in, what is it, in like line work, maybe I might color it. It depends, but I won't color it. I'll probably just like shade it in a little bit by little. So this is where the, I guess the part of the drawing comes in. Just gonna go in and really lightly draw things in. I want to give it a bit of a sketchier look to it, so nothing too crazy, but based on the drawing that I have, I'm gonna follow and work on the drawing based on the line work that I have. So I'm gonna have things be very light and chunky, so it gives it a bit more of like a fun look to it. But yeah, so this is kind of usually what I'll do sometimes, is like the rough is actually where a lot of the figuring out and the planning comes in. It doesn't mean that I'm going all in on the details, but it lets me figure out where things roughly should go. And then after I'm done that, I'll go back into the final one, and that's where I really put in the effort in the details. So I'm gonna go with this kind of thicker line approach so that it makes it, one, easier to draw. Thinner lines usually make it harder to draw because you have to worry more about like the details and the consistency in the details. But if you draw it in these really thick chunky lines with a contrast of details and no details, it actually makes your drawing much easier. So on the outside, my rule of thumb is things on the outside get a thicker outline, and then things on the inside get a thinner outline. So this way I get to give it a little bit of contrast in the drawing. Keeps it kind of like fun and kind of like childlike. Yeah, when I was a child, I loved BB the Witch, and one of the witches flew on the vacuum cleaner. Oh. Yeah, actually, I would say the art style for this, very much inspired by, what is it, Little Witch Academia? I don't know if you guys have ever watched that movie, or not movie, that show before. There is it's a kind of like a really short anime series on Netflix, based on the manga, I believe, called Little Witch Academia. So it's like a really fun, kind of, just charming show. Nothing too over the top or serious about it, although I kind of think they canceled it, so the story kind of just ends like very abruptly, or in a very abrupt feeling kind of a way, where I'm like, oh, I feel like there should have been a little bit more to this series, but oh well. Gonna shade in the Venus flytrap. We'll maybe make the teeth a little bit bigger, just so it's easier to see. And yeah, we'll add like the vines and like the stems. Gotta highlight it and coloring things in so it's a bit easier to spot it and see it. Now, depending on what I'm drawing, my rule of thumb usually is like stuff that's not as important, you make it not as thick, or don't make the lines too like in your face, and then the stuff that is more important, try to give it a little bit more emphasis to it. So not gonna spend too much time with the the pot and the flower or this Venus flytrap. Just gonna draw it in really quickly, and then going to quickly draw out the leaves or the vines. I mean, they're coming in. Maybe fill in some of the gaps. That's kind of it. Am I using Krita? Yep, I am using Krita right now. I'm kind of drawing in the final details. I basically do everything in Krita. So if you guys have ever seen me or followed me throughout my whole entire time here at Wing Canvas, then you will know that, yeah, I've been using Krita for quite a while now. Not sponsored by them or anything, but I just think it's a very robust software. So if you're looking for a software that's like easy to start and use, I do highly recommend Krita, just because it's free. You can try it out, so this way if you don't like it, or you're feeling like, oh, I don't know if what is it, digital drawing is my cup of tea, or if this is the one that I want to do, then yeah, Krita is kind of like a very good one to start with because it's free. So if you decide like, oh, I don't like it, it's actually not a big deal. Yeah, so drawing in the table, adding a little bit of just like flourishes and nuance to it, just so it's a little bit more fun to it. Okay, and then with these stained glass window bits here, these are more like dark, so I'm just gonna cut them out. I do think like, oh man, colors with these would have been like really nice, but fortunately no time for drawing anything in these windows, so I'm just going to draw a really simple kind of stained glass window pattern, and we'll finish off the brick here and everything. That gives me Mario vibes. Yeah, the Venus flytrap. Yeah, I got a little bit of inspiration from that kind of shape language that they have from Mario for sure. And I'm giving these marks here, these kind of just like little dents and stuff. Hopefully kind of just adds a little bit more nuance. And I like always chipping things up. So for example, this windowsill, we can be like, oh, maybe it's like cracked a little bit. Maybe there's a little bit of, it's worn down a little. So it's going to have these like marks to it and everything. So yeah, just adds a little bit of just nuance to it. And for anybody who's just joining and wondering like, oh, what is this? Well, this is the witch's broom. It's a little bit more of like just like a tease there, just because no space to draw it. You know, actually I'm gonna take away the shelf at the top. I don't think I need it. Or if I do, I definitely think I need to clean it up a little bit. So we'll see. We'll leave it for the end. And if I need it, then I'll clean it up. And this goes back to the very beginning with the rug on the table, or not the rug, but this little just like cloth. Make sure you add a little bit of bumps to it so it's not too like clean. this is how you make your drawings just feel like it's not following perspective, but instead it's following more of like a natural flow and how you're drawing it. And I'm gonna clean up these designs and patterns, just kind of going at it. So this way, you know, oh, actually I don't even need to draw all these parts. I just realized because we're actually cropping it right here, so I don't need to draw all of that, all those areas. I'm gonna give a little Legend of Zelda, I don't know, nod to the pattern of the eyeball. I don't know if it's from somewhere in particular, but I know it from Legend of Zelda, but if it's from somewhere else, I wouldn't be surprised if it was. I'm gonna add the same patterns. Maybe we'll add a few just like triangles. So it's kind of nice that I don't have to color this in, because if I had to color this in, yes, this would be a lot of work. This would be like, oh my gosh, gotta color in all these details. Very much a piranha plant. Yeah. And we're just kind of going around adding these details in. So adding like the table, adding some wood chips. So you kind of notice how like the table here, the details are getting finer, the details like the chunks and the thickness in the table, shadows are also much larger, much bigger. So then because it's closer to the camera, I am able to add these extra bits of nuances to the table that I wouldn't be able to really add if it was something like further away. So kind of keep that in mind. The things that are further away from us, they're gonna be simpler in its details. Things that are closer to us are gonna have more in its details. So you can have a little bit more fun with how detailed you make something. Again, some like goop hanging down. Now because this is the bottom of the table, I think I'm just gonna make sure the goop hangs on top. And I'm actually gonna go about this. I'm not gonna make these too thick for the lines. I'm gonna actually have them be thinner and only have the top of the tables be thicker in its line work so that it doesn't grab too much attention. I'm gonna have a little bit of chipping over there. Yeah, exactly. I think being able to draw the stuff you're going to crop out is a really good idea sometimes, so that the flow of the drawing is like fleshed out and it's not just like randomly cut out. So yeah, no, I think that's I love that you're kind of getting the feel for it, of like why I did it in the way that I did it. Okay, so the bottle, we'll put it here. Well, I play a little bit with the line thickness, making things a little bit kind of jaggedy. Just gives it a bit more personality to the drawing, I find. Maybe add a little bit of shine and like thickness to it. Oops. Yeah, and then we're gonna add the eyeballs to it. So for those who don't know, this is like a jar of eyeballs. Someone did say, it was like, oh, maybe they're gummy eyeballs. So it makes it hopefully maybe a little bit more palatable for anybody who may be a little bit grossed out by the accumulation of eyeballs here. Yeah, exactly. Marushard? Yeah, exactly. That point of like drawing things that you might not even see is a really good idea. So, for example, these eyeballs, you'll notice that I'm trying to be a little bit more delicate with how thick the lines are, because again, it's that rule of thumb where if it's too detailed for something that's very far away, you might grab a lot of attention to something that is meant to not have that much attention to. So I'm drawing the line work much thinner and trying not to draw too much detail for them. Then we'll draw it in this cork stopper. I'm actually going to raise the shape of the eyeball higher. And we'll have the eyeball actually here. And we'll have the eyeball curve up a little bit so it goes past the curvature there. So here we go. And we have an eyeball jar. Okay, nice. And then what is left? Gonna draw all the other smaller details now. Yeah, the Shika eye. Yeah, exactly. The bird is your favorite. Well, glad you like the bird, Angela. Yeah, I'm just gonna bring back the... Oops. On this one, I'm gonna basically color the whole thing in because, you know, the raven's black, so I feel like it makes sense to have the raven be all colored in. And then we'll carve the shadows out of it afterwards. So, yeah. And then we'll carve it in. So yeah, a lot of times what I like to do personally is, you know, keep things very large and based on shapes. So that's why I'm kind of just like coloring it in, and then if I need to change the shape of something, then I'll like color it in differently. And we'll color over the eyeballs because we don't need a, you know, the eyeballs are just, they're just there. And then we'll have it just go around the skull a little bit. Have the feathers be very, very big. So by having like a larger shape for things, it allows the drawing to feel more cartoonish. So then this way it's less serious. So because our bird here in general is, or the style that I'm going for here is very kind of cartoony in a way. We wanted to make sure that the style stays consistent. So having really large shapes, having really large forms, so that it doesn't take itself too seriously as a drawing. And now we'll go into the skull here. So that's why a lot of the shapes here are very kind of cartoony looking, so it doesn't take itself too seriously. Oh, maybe shade in a little bit of like the shadows down here, so it adds a little bit of nuance. Maybe we'll also shade a bit of the shadow underneath this bottle as well, like maybe here. Oh, you also use Krita? Oh, nice. Yeah, I love Krita. Behold, sight of eyeball and power of which your themes combine. Yeah. Is it Day of the Dead Skull? Is it? I've never played Day of the Dead, so, you know, if it looks like it, that's pretty cool. Was not the intent, but I would take it. Okay, then we're gonna draw the handle there. So like having a very big brush can help a lot, especially for this kind of style. You can get away a lot with drawing very quickly and not having to think too much about it. But the reason why we're able to just go at it and not have to think too much about it is because we planned it all ahead of time. So because we planned it so far in advance with the rough, I can kind of go at this and trust the things that I'm going to be doing. So I'll put a giant like letter here because I feel like that's kind of what these books usually have. These giant letter heads. But yeah, by doing the rough ahead of time, we can really go in and just have some fun with the drawing. Actually, maybe I might replace... So beforehand, I'm like, oh, I'm not too sure about the shelf. Maybe what I'll replace it with, actually, is like a menu order board. Because I think somebody was saying how, like, oh, this kind of feels like a candy store. And I'm like, oh, you know what? Thinking about that now, that's not a bad idea. So maybe instead of this being like the witch that's brewing something, it's actually this witch is buying something. So I kind of like that direction. And this is why I love doing this live with you guys, because it's like, oh, you know, you guys will give me some suggestions, and it's just like, oh, you know, I never thought of that, or that never crossed my mind as something to have been considered. But then, you know, after like thinking it over, it's like, oh, that's actually a cool suggestion. So, yeah, that's why I kind of love doing lives with you guys, because you guys offer some pretty neat suggestions every now and then. Yeah, just gonna color this all in. And yeah, I just love the kind of just the back and forth of contrasts and shapes here. This is kind of like my personal favorite art style type to go into. So if you guys have ever like been a part of our live streams before, then you'll know that I'm always more of like a line art kind of a person than a coloring person, and it's because I love contrast of black and white. And I think maybe that just comes from growing up reading manga and comic books, rather than like viewing a lot of like concept art painting. So because of that, I'm always usually a bit more drawn towards like the graphic black and white style more than like paintings. Paintings are cool still though, but I feel like I'm more captivated by black and white drawings. And I love doing this more improv style of drawing because it allows you to really just have some fun with the piece and not take it too seriously. Also, this reminds me a bit of like Gravity Falls. I don't know if anybody's watched Gravity Falls before. I feel like it's now kind of considered more of like an older show, but yeah, this kind of reminds me a little bit of that kind of art style in a way. Shading really changes the look. Yeah. And I think that's kind of like the cool thing too about line work is that you'll have line art be like it captures more of like the shapes and the designs of things, whereas painting focuses more on like a different aspect of design and composition, and it also like depending on how you render it, the focus might be a bit more on like lighting, whereas line work is more on kind of like the design and the aesthetic of of uh of the drawing. So it's like it's like two different things. And I just love the busyness of this style too. It's like there's so much going on. Hopefully by when you guys see this drawing, you'll kind of get a sense of like all just like the fun that's kind of put into this drawing here. So I'm having a lot of fun drawing this. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the drawing as well, finding the charm in just this very bizarre piece. Well, not that bizarre, but a little bit bizarre. Maybe we'll add a few bubbles on top too. So there. And then, hello. If you like black and white contrast, I just find a concept for Bat Village, which finished a concept of Bat Village, which used the same kind of thing during the stream. Oh, really? That's awesome. Oh, I guess a little bit of a reminder that if you worked on anything that was like background related, be sure to submit it into our backgrounds challenge for this month. So if you didn't know, every month we do a monthly art challenge, and this month's art challenge is that of backgrounds. So if you did anything that was any like remotely related to backgrounds, be sure to upload it, and we might give you a little bit of a shout out for the background drawing that you did. So if you want to submit that Bat Village, that totally checks out and is background related. So maybe put it in, and we could take a look at it maybe next week. There's a little octopus leg. I'm like trying to draw faster now because I'm like, oh, okay, we're going a little bit like way over time as usual, but I want to make sure that I kind of capture everything that is here because I'm really loving this drawing, so I want to make sure that give it the due chance. And this is our little fish tail as well. Yeah, so before the stream started, I asked the audience a lot of just like, oh, what would you like for me to draw? And some people were suggesting like fish tails, eyeballs, and so that's why you see the stuff that you see. But yeah, if you guys are enjoying the stream so far, definitely like and subscribe and ring that notification bell. Oh, look at that transition. Just kidding. But yeah, if you guys are honestly enjoying this, definitely give it a like. Definitely subscribe if you want to see more from us. We are always doing streams exactly like this, where we are just showing you guys how we would draw, our drawing process, so that you get a little bit of a peek behind the scenes for just how an artist like me would go about drawing something in 2-point perspective. And if you missed a little bit of from the stream, no worries, the VOD will be going up shortly after stream ends. So if you missed it a little bit, that's okay. It will be going up very, very shortly. So, yeah. And what else? Oh, if you haven't followed us already, I know I've given this a little bit of a shout out before, but we are on Discord. So if you want to see the notes and the final kind of demo that I'm drawing right here, this demo will be going live afterwards on Discord as well as Instagram, but all the notes only go up on Discord. So if you want to check out these notes, you're gonna have to check us out on Discord. If you don't have Discord though, no worries. You can always watch back these videos just to see where things were going, and you can screenshot the notes if you want to. I did pause it at a certain point in the video just to give you guys a bit of a chance to screenshot it. So if you missed it, no worries. You can scrub through. I think it kind of happened a little bit down around maybe in the middle of the stream where I paused the video so that people could screenshot the notes, just for those who missed or might have missed the demonstration. And I'm just gonna add Frankenstein, supposed Frankenstein's face over here. Maybe Mao Mao will like this space. I go by Vert Schmidt, so it'll be easy to find. Oh, okay, cool. Does it have to be a drawing you recently did, or can it be any drawing you made years back? I guess it's really up to you, honestly. So if you want to use a drawing that you worked on, like years ago, you can, but I always feel like the best way to kind of treat these kind of, art challenges that we do, these monthly art challenges, is that it hopefully encourages you guys to do some drawings. So if you want to tackle the challenge and challenge yourselves to go do a new drawing, I feel like these are the kind of like the best opportunities to do so. But I know that everybody's sometimes a little bit maybe strapped for time, maybe time is not on their side and whatnot. So if you want to use an old drawing, then yeah, that's totally okay as well. Nothing wrong with using an old piece. But I'd highly recommend it if you have the time and the opportunity to make a new piece. I would highly encourage to do a new piece for this art challenge. On the side, I really like this art style. I've been thinking of doing more Ghibli style. Yeah, I don't get the feels. I know that you rarely see me draw in this style as well. But yeah, every now and then I like to change it up, and I like the style too. It's a fun style, and yeah, very like Ghibli, very like anime inspired for sure. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna color this whole hat in. I might leave some spaces just for the hair and whatnot. I feel like this is my go-to style if I need something kind of really quick and immediate. But it's a fun style nonetheless. And also, I like leaving in a little bit of the line work just so you can kind of get a feel of like the textures and everything. Yeah, we're gonna frame and crop it afterwards. So if you're kind of wondering like, oh, Josh, aren't you coloring outside of the frame lines and whatnot? It's like, yeah, but we're gonna color it in and clean it up after anyways, so it's okay. Kind of checks out. I am like so focused right now. So sorry, I went a little bit quiet because I'm just like, I need to focus. I need to finish this up. See, I think it looks okay. Maybe I don't know if the eyes should be a little bit closer. Maybe. Yeah, there we go. I think that looks a bit better. It's always a little trippy doing this kind of style in this kind of angle because I feel like you gotta just shave it, like shave the line work and the lighting. So if you kind of see me going back and forth, it's because I'm trying to figure out where the lines and shadows would be. Alright. There we go. I think that's pretty good. Alright. Is this a line art piece or two-tone something? I think I'm just gonna keep it as like a line art piece. Maybe if I color it, I'll just color the background with a tone. But yeah, I'm gonna keep it pretty straightforward. Let me see, where is the vanishing point? Vanishing point's like there. Okay, so I said that this is gonna be more of like a menu, so that's why I'm changing the shelf to be that of like a blackboard kind of menu style. So put it like here, and then I think we can see some guidelines, so I'll put this here. And maybe we'll put like, make this like a giant chalkboard. Leave a little bit of the lines. I do like this, a little bit of this, just, I don't know, rough coloring, more textured kind of a coloring approach. I don't know, I feel like I've always wanted to do this more and more, this more kind of rough textured, almost very traditional approach, where it's like you can see a little bit of the underdrawing, you can see a little bit of like what it used to look like. So then it almost, I don't know, there's a certain charm to it. Can't really quite explain it, but I don't know, I really like it. So I'm gonna try, I feel like I want to do more of that with my personal pieces. Let me see. Oh, we should write like the dollar signs on it. I might do this on a different layer just so it's easier to kind of control. So we'll go like, or we'll like fishtail. Since that's what someone brought up, fishtail. And there's like eyes, maybe. And yeah, just a little kind of like a fun little drawing. Okay, so this is the drawing itself. Now I'm gonna give it a frame. So we'll just, let's say, not filled. We'll make it kind of like a dark box. Yeah, 23 I think seems pretty good. Okay, also I like how that looks, so we'll just merge this. We'll go final lines, and then the angle that stormed the internet. Wait, oh, it's the free rent angle? I guess so. Yeah, a little bit. I don't know if that's what you're referring to, but I didn't even think of that. But yeah, it kind of is like the free rent angle. It's pretty funny. Okay, I'm just gonna loosely draw these in. Just say filled, and then I'm gonna use this chalk grainy brush. Yeah, just gonna manually draw in the frame for this. You know, like, why not have it be a little bit kind of impromptu and a little bit messy, so it's kind of matches the drawing. And then we're gonna turn off the line work and final lines. I'm just going to erase this part just to clean it up a little bit. And I did say that I kind of want to shade in the background a little bit, so right underneath the lines, I'm just going to grab maybe like this color here, and with the chalk grainy brush, just going to lightly color in the background area. And we're going to leave it a little bit rough. Again, just to maintain that kind of almost handmade traditional feel to the drawing itself. So I don't want it to be like super cleaned up or super refined or anything like that. Just like just a little touch of humanity to it, so to speak. And if I don't like the colors, by the way, I can like change it afterwards. So after putting it down, I'm just gonna lay it all down. Not gonna worry about whether it's good or not, or whether it like looks correct. I'm just gonna actually just put it down. And I think I already am thinking like, okay, I think I want to make it more of a color rather than a gray color. So we're just gonna fill it up for now, no matter what. And I like thinking about painting and drawing in this approach. A lot of the times we feel like we need to get the final color down right off the bat. But that's never really true. I feel like sometimes the best way to approach something is to just consider like, oh, you know, just put it down and see what you can adjust afterwards. So I like that mentality more. Makes it a little bit more freeing in the approach that you have. But yeah, we're gonna just keep it monochromatic. So just like kind of two-tone, just black and whatnot. And then I'm gonna alpha lock this. And I'm going to bump it up here, and then maybe we'll go like this. So kind of like a lighter color, I think would be kind of nice. Like a fun, light-hearted color. Or we go yellow? Actually, let me try that. Ooh, I like this. I like this one. Let's go with this. Let's make it a little bit more yellow, a little bit more warm. Adds a nice bit of contrast to the dark blue lines. So, yeah. Kind of like that. Yeah, I think that's kind of it for this one. Sorry, I have missed out a lot on the chat, but I'm just gonna read up on it really quickly right now. Or maybe, you know, I'm gonna wait one more and then I'll read up on chat. My bad. Let's go with here. Let's like color in some of the objects. I don't know. I don't want to try it out. Or maybe no. I think what I'll color in is maybe like the table. And maybe a little bit of the box here. Yeah, we'll keep it like a rough coloring. Again, I want to make it just feel very in the moment kind of a color, so it's meant to be a little bit rough and not like super cleaned up or anything. So yeah, I don't know if you guys like if you ever watch anime, sometimes those like opening and ending books have a little bit of like an art style like this for their opening and ending songs, and I always really loved it because it's very stylized in like a fun way. So I want to do the same thing, just like have a little bit of fun with the drawings, with the objects here. Let me see. It is arguably a finished piece. Don't forget your voice, according to her. Looks better with the bird thing rather than the shelf. The bird thing. Yeah, the shelf was a little bit odd, so that's why I kind of like changed it. Yeah. First make it exist, then you can make it better later. Ah, yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's okay, you were locked in, bro, and I don't mind enjoying this regardless. Oh, well, thank you. yeah, I'm glad you are enjoying it. I'm enjoying kind of drawing this. It's been a lot of fun kind of putting this kind of in, this drawing and everything. So, yeah. Let me see. You know what, I guess might as well just like shade everything in for the objects here. Or like most of the objects. And yeah. You know, I still have not watched Ponyo. So, I don't know. I've always heard Ponyo was more of like a kids movie. So, I don't know. Maybe that's why I've been a little bit more hesitant on watching it. But if it's good, maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'll check it out. If you guys recommend it, I'll give it a go. Okay, this I think now we're done. Our 5, but it's good. Ah, I see. Okay, I think this is pretty good. So, you know, while, you know, to kind of go over exactly what we did here, little bit of a quick recap. Okay, so for anybody who like kind of missed it at around the beginning, we went over kind of what is perspective and generally kind of the rules for how 1-point perspective works, how do you get it, and then how do you practice 2-point perspective, and what are the steps and what's needed to make 2-point perspective. And then I give a little bit of an exercise that you guys can all try to apply 2-point perspective to something that is a bit more recognizable. So instead of just drawing boxes and prisms, kind of challenge you guys to do the house exercise, which is just drawing a very simple house and then building and adding onto it afterwards. And then after showing you guys how 2-point perspective works, use 2-point perspective to demonstrate how to get a scenery going. So this is kind of the setup, and you'll notice that we originally had a little bit of a different composition. The composition was a little bit lower, the table was set a little bit higher, and then afterwards I was like, there's a lot of unnecessary space at the bottom, so we shifted the composition up for the rough, and then we kind of adjusted it as we went. But everything kind of stuck to basically what I showed you here for the 2-point perspective demonstration, using just the vanishing points and these boxes to build out roughly where things would go. And the general rule of thumb is when you're drawing things that are more organic, you just have them curve up if they're above the horizon line, and if they're below the horizon line, then you curve it down, just like with what I showed here with these ellipses. Notice how like the more they move above the horizon line, they get wider, they're more open, and the closer they get to the horizon line, the more closed or thinner they get. And so that's kind of the approach I did for these bottles and potions and everything, is that they all follow that rule and principle. Yeah. And then in taking this rough, moved it down here and cleaned up the entire drawing to get this final piece over here. So yeah, I think that's kind of it. If you guys enjoyed the stream, by the way, definitely give it a like. And if you haven't subscribed already, definitely subscribe to our channel so that you know when we go live and also what we're streaming next time. It's also a great way to know what topics we're streaming, as well as when we upload polls. Because every stream, we always go and... let me go find that chart so we know what we're streaming next. Yeah, we always kind of schedule our streams ahead of time, so if you want to know what we're going to be doing next, subscribing is kind of like a really great way to know what's planned ahead. And to give a little bit of a heads up, we're doing Lakeside, which is kind of like someone new, and you're about to be like, wait, who is Lakeside? Well, you guys are going to find out later. They're going to teach you guys about Blender, and then on Monday, August 17th, Faye and Lakeside are going to team up together and do an AMA stream talking about marketing. So if that sounds interesting to you guys and you guys are interested in, it's like, oh wait, how do I do marketing and how do I promote myself as an artist, then that stream is going to be perfect for you. So you guys will always know of what we're streaming next if you guys are subscribed. And if this is your first time joining us, welcome. We are Wing Canvas, and if you've never heard about us before, we here at Wing Canvas we are a school of education providing free arts education for you guys. But if you want to learn more and get a more in-depth system of feedback, we actually have a website full of classes and full of different teachers with different specialties and expertise and experiences. So if you want a little bit more of a deeper dive into your arts education and getting a little bit of accountability, definitely check out our website for a collection of classes as well as our collection of teachers. I'm one of them. I specialize in like drawing and painting and digital illustration, and I focus a bit more on character design, as I guess you can see on my screen. But yeah, definitely check out our website for our class offerings for learning fundamentals, getting portfolio guidances, and just getting like personal feedback. And if you guys enjoyed us, but enjoyed what you watched here, but you want to support us a little bit more, check us out on Patreon. You can definitely support us over there, and definitely don't forget to follow us on Discord and on Instagram. I'll be posting these lesson notes on Discord, but the demo will be going up onto Instagram afterwards. So if you want to check out this piece in its full details, it will be up on Discord and on Instagram afterwards. And yeah, that's kind of it. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I had a lot of fun drawing this piece. Maybe got a little bit too caught up on it, but yeah, this piece had a lot of fun with it. Don't usually draw in this style, but yeah, I really liked how this turned out. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it as well, and I will see you in the next live stream. Bye bye, everybody. Have a good rest of your Monday, and have a good rest of this week. Bye.